Hello, my friends, and welcome to this episode of Common Sense View. For the past 5 days, LA has been on fire. And within those periods, the people who were supposed to protect the city turned into a serious blame game. They started with blaming the ICE officers who were there to perform their official duty, to remove people who were in the country illegally. And now that the own concern was that the ICE was rounding up people. But they forget to ask themselves, why were they rounding up people? They don't go that way into other states or counties where there is a cooperation between ICE and the law enforcement of the said state or county. They are rounding up people because that's the only way they could get people who are in the country illegally to leave. In the spirit of esprit de corps, the governor broke the bond between the state and the federal. It's supposed to be that when ICE is releasing people, when the state is releasing people who committed a crime, they inform ICE, and ICE will come and take them, especially if they are in the country illegally, and deport them. But because California is a sanctuary state, and a lot of counties there are sanctuary counties, this bond was severe long ago. ICE has to come in to look for illegal immigrants themselves, to sieve them from legal immigrants, and to remove them. What does that imply? The possibility of mistakes is enhanced, and the possibility of going to schools, workplaces, social gathering to get people is also enhanced. Because otherwise, are they going to knock at doors at night? They follow them to where they can track them. It's a common sense knowledge. But because most of the people on the left are too educated, they overeducate themselves to the point that they lack common sense. The left, the modern left, have overeducated themselves to the point that they lack common sense. So when ICE to arrest people, who are they arresting? They're arresting the people, especially illegal immigrants who committed crime apart from the crime of coming into the country illegally. People who, especially the liberals, they don't understand most of the time. They don't care about what it means for somebody like me to stay online, wait for my turn to get a visa, and then get that visa and go in. For them, it's okay to jump line from wherever you are. And any person who asks why you jumped the line is either a racist, a homophobe, or a Nazi. But they don't move anybody anymore. So when I turned up into California to pick people who they're supposed to deport, they met resistance. People who are Los Angeles Angelenos who don't want those people to be deported. Unfortunately, the people they are taking away are people who commit sexual crimes against kids, violent crime against others, criminals, confirmed criminals, because they were prioritized. They were prioritized. But the state government refused to help. On Saturday, Trump made a call to Newsom. He denied it initially. He denied that there was such a call. He called him a liar. He's a pathological liar. And that was how they brush up, how they fan their base. But unfortunately for him, Trump made open the phone log. He called him the first time for 40 seconds. It was not picked. And then the second time he called, they talked for 16 minutes. And it was that, what did you tell him? I tell him to go get it together. Get it together because this is going out of hand. It was getting out of hand. So what happened? When he could not do anything, Trump first of all told him that he's going to send in 200 National Guard. That is where the heavens get lost. Everything got loose. He became a blind dictator who wants to act out his dictatorial instinct. Now, but if you see what was going on, you cannot but see why it was the right move. There was a man positioned under the bridge, throwing stones at federal cars, police cars that are passing in high speed. Oh, that alone, for those who read the law, is supposed to be tried for attempted murder. Because any movement those unsuspecting officers make, we either throw the car out of the road or get the person in front of them killed. That went on for hours. No restraint from anywhere. Later evening, there was a lot of standoff until it got exploded. But before it came to that, you see the people who were resisting arrest to deportation to Mexico and other places, waving the flag of those countries and then burning the flag of the host country. You can't make this up. You can't make this up. The people who are resisting going back to their country are at the same time waving the flag of their country and burning the flag of the host country. That is unbelievable. Let's watch.
A lineup of police cars in this image, shrouded in thick black smoke, and you've got a mass protest there flying the Mexican flag. This to me, Corey, is just the height of absurdity. These people are flying the Mexican flag and violently protesting to avoid being deported to Mexico. If you love Mexico so much that you're flying their flag on American soil, why are you so opposed to going back there?
Yeah, look, this is an invasion. It's an insurrection, if you want to take the words from the left and use it right against them. But look, I mean, Los Angeles is supposed to be the home of the 2028 Summer Olympics. And all we have right now is their public officials using mental gymnastics to defend the criminals, the rapists, and the murderers, and not the victims of all these crimes. So, you know,
that is the question. If you love that country so much, why aren't you going there? Yeah, it can be understood. You can show solidarity, but not at the same time you're burning the flag of the host country where you want to stay, and then you are raising the flag of the country where you don't want to stay, but you love so much. It baffles me. And then the media totally ignored that. The Democrat officials said it was mostly peaceful, even when behind them, just like what happened during the BLM period, mostly peaceful, and the person saying mostly peaceful has his back completely on fire. And you're asking yourself, what is wrong with these people? You are saying that the demonstration or riot is mostly peaceful, but just right behind you, it was like nuclear weapon exploded with the smoke rising up. It doesn't make any sense. And it couldn't be worse than anything you imagine. And even the lawmakers indeed, the people who make the law, and I think they consider themselves above the law. It is easy for them to say, nobody's above the law, nobody. But when it comes to them doing the bare minimum, just say the truth. Well, it's out of hand, But I believe that they would have handled it without the National Guard. Oh, at least you are being objective. But when you said there was no sign at all of any violence, and that is your reason to say that bringing in the National Guard is unjustified, then you lose credibility because everyone who has eyes sees going on. That was, there was, of course, it was practically all the lawmakers in the Democrat side. But what the most cynical of them is Maxine Waters. She repeatedly insisted that there was no single violence. Telemann the God, or whatever he calls himself, the same thing. There is one just unjustified. That was exactly what happened during the burn of the police precinct in Minneapolis. They waited beyond the time they should. And Trump was not having it this time. So let's see Maxine Waters and there's no violence.
Waters, Congresswoman Maxine Waters, claiming that there is no violence or lawlessness during these protests.
Don't think that somehow, because they called out the National Guard, there was violence. There was no violence. I was on the street. I know. Get it straight. And don't just rely on what you're being told or the few incidents that you saw. There was no violence.
Of course, the footage of what's really happening has been superimposed behind her there. But what do you make of how the Democrats have responded to these riots? She's a veteran congresswoman, and she's not alone in trying to deny the violence and just standing with these rioters.
Look, they're delusional. And I think going back to the Black Lives Matter movement and the George Floyd, I think they think it worked for them then when there was such an anti-Trump feelings. It's not working now. People are waking up to it. They don't want violence in their cities. And to be the normal American just looks at them, scratches their head, think, what are you going on about? Turn the television on, look at the vision. It's absolutely insane that they continue to say that these are peaceful protests. It's unbelievable, Rita.
Well,
so the thing is that the media and the Democrat Party, they are used to telling you to do not believe your lying eyes. Do not believe what you see because they are supposed to be the ones seeing for you. They are supposed to be your eyes, and the media is supposed to be your mouth. They're supposed to talk for you. You don't see enough and you don't hear enough. So to stand, of course, behind the person asking her the question was the footage of what was going on. I don't think she was seeing them. But you can't lie in such a margin that even an idiot will see that you lost it. But that is what they are. The media is complicit. If you go to watch the interview of Johnson, Speaker Johnson, you see the same thing. The interview of Dana, the same thing. All of them are the same thing. But these are supposed to be purveyors of truth. You don't have to inject yourself into the news. Say what will report, not make claims. Reporter. You look, you see, you write. Is that obvious? You look, you see, you write what you see, not your interpretation of what you see. The interpretation is left for the readers. They make their own meaning out of what you wrote, you saw. Because when you write what you interpreted, what you see to be, then the next person is trying to make something reasonable out of your own uselessness because you injected yourself into the news. Sean Hannity said that the media is dead. He said it's in America, but actually it's all over the world. It's the same thing. Unfortunately for them, people are catching up. People are catching up. In the past, they hold the truth, they hold the facts. Whatever they say the truth is. Whatever they say it's not. But now people use their phone, people stay in their rooms and get these things and share it to the world. So, but then the apogee of the whole thing is Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom, who his city is burning, instead of acting fast, because the problem with the mob is because they are faceless. Because they are faceless, their voice is grounded, like their voice become one big bubble of destructive power. Because you cannot say you shut up, you shut up. There's no one to hold responsible. That is the danger of a mob. He saw the mob gathering. The mayor saw the mob gathering just as they watched their city burn at the fire. They just watched everything slowly spiral out of proportion. And when Trump said that he called him at the early stage to tell him to get this together, which he denied, now he's singing a different tone. If you are committing any crime, we will prosecute you. Okay. Very good. But it was 1 second too late. Despite that, he had the audacity to go to the friendly media where he will not be asked any serious question to make his broadcast. And if you have 10 minutes, just hang around, watch his broadcast, and let's see what you see of it, what you think of it. That's Newsom. I gave you Newsom and his delusion.
Is very different than anything we've seen before. On Saturday morning, when federal agents jumped out of an unmarked van near a Home Depot parking lot, they began grabbing people, a deliberate targeting of a heavily Latino suburb. A similar scene played out when a clothing company was raided downtown. In other actions, a U.S. citizen, 9 months pregnant, was arrested. A 4-year-old girl taken. Families separated. Friends, quite literally, disappeared.
Do you see how craftily he said that? A U.S. citizen was arrested. For what crime? For being an illegal? No. If a U.S. citizen is arrested, there must be a reason for the arrest. Because if you listen to Tom Homan, he said they didn't just go into LA. Unlike regular catching of illegal immigrants, they have criminal warrants for the people they are catching. And you don't give criminal warrants without a judge. So they have warrant for the people they are grabbing, whether they are grabbing them in school, under the bridge, from housekeeping area or whatever. They have a warrant for it. So what he's saying, he's trying to justify why it was obvious that the people who were obstructing their duty were doing it. The same people who said that obstruction of government duty is insurrection is now trying to find a way to rigmarole into the same thing. So let's continue.
Disappearing. In response, everyday Angelenos came out to exercise their constitutional right to free speech and assembly, to protest
their constitutional right is to hinder the ICE from taking away the illegal immigrants they have already arrested. And the problem is that they bundle together legal and illegal immigrants, and it makes it difficult because all of them are the same. They are lawbreakers. So the idea that some people actually stayed online and came through the right process is not something they want to make obvious. And I'm not making this up. Go listen to MSNBC, ABC, CBS, CNN, all of them. It is immigrants. And that is not fair. It's not fair to those who followed the process. To bundle legal immigrants and illegal immigrants together is not fair to the people who stood online and followed the process. Neither is it fair to the citizens who watch everything burn down, because those who are supposed to protect them allow the same people that are supposed to be protected to be shifted out of the corner.
government's actions. In turn, the state of California and the city and county of Los Angeles sent our police officers to help keep the peace. And with some exceptions, they were successful. Like many states, California is no...
With some exception. With some exception. What are those exceptions? In the exception, the people who were circling the eyes, waving Mexican flag, burning down everything around them, burning auto-driving cars. Those are the exceptions. The exception is the young man under the bridge firing stones to the passing officers. The exception, the person handing gas masks to the protesters while they burn down the city. What are those exceptions? He can't say, because in those exceptions lies the indictment on him. You see his face. You see the face of somebody who was broken, who was defeated, because he's a defeated person. He lacks any moral certitude.
No stranger to this sort of unrest. We manage it regularly and with our own law enforcement. But this, again, was different. What then ensued was a use of tear gas, flashbang grenades, rubber bullets, federal agents detaining people and undermining their due process rights. Donald Trump, without consulting California law enforcement leaders, commandeered 2,000 of our state's National Guard members to deploy on our streets, illegally and for no reason. This brazen abuse of power by a sitting president inflamed a combustible situation, putting our people, our officers, and even our National Guard at risk. That's what...
You see what he's implying? He's implying that the fact that these people came to arrest illegal immigrants from Latino populated area, they started the agitation. And the fact that when they couldn't do anything to curtail the spiraling disorder, and Trump sent in the National Guard, he was the one that architected the out of hand proportion. So every time they find a way to shift blame, he cannot say, I made a mistake. I judged that we would have got it under control. That is what somebody who is reasonable can do. Anyone can fall the same victim. But no, they don't, because they're too smart. How can somebody so smart make such a silly mistake? How can somebody so smart as Gavin Newsom make a mistake of understanding that the crowd can easily fall out of control with just a tiny spark? They are too smart, and that is their undoing.
The downward spiral began. He doubled down on his dangerous National Guard deployment by fanning the flames even harder. And the president, he did it on purpose. As the news spread throughout LA, anxiety for family and friends ramped up. Protests started again. By night, several dozen lawbreakers became violent and destructive. They vandalized property. They tried to assault police officers. Many of you have seen the video clips of cars burning on cable news. If you incite violence, I want to be clear about this. If you incite violence or destroy our communities, you're going to be held to account. That kind of...
It doesn't make sense. This one is just like to make himself look good. Many of them, by night, the news spread and there was rioting. Wasn't it have been a time to put it in order? He didn't do anything that night. Remember, he didn't mention now that at that night that Trump brought in the National Guard. That means it was that night that he would have done something. He didn't. That night the mayor would have done something. She didn't. They allowed it to go to the next day. And that was after he has had a call with Trump. He didn't act the first day, the second day. And Trump said, I cannot stand by and wait for what happened in Minneapolis to happen here. He wouldn't go that way. Then he called the National Guard. He found, now, if you break the law, no, you can actually stop people, because there are people, it's in their nature to break the law. You can actually stop them from doing it.
Criminal behavior will not be tolerated, full stop. Already more than 220 people have been arrested, and we're reviewing tapes to build additional cases, and people will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Again, thanks to our law enforcement officers and the majority of Angelenos who protested peacefully, the situation was winding down and was concentrated in just a few square blocks downtown. But that's not what Donald Trump wanted. He again chose escalation. He chose more force. He chose theatrics over public safety. He federalized another 2,000 Guard members. He deployed more than 700 active U.S. Marines. These are the men and women trained for foreign combat, not domestic law enforcement. We honor their service. We honor their bravery, but we do not.
You see, that is where they are lying to you. If you listen to when they take their oath of office, which every one of them does take, it says to protect the country from enemies, both foreign and domestic. So it's not only for foreign land that the military is trained. Yeah, they are trained to be in war, but they are to protect the country from enemies home and abroad. And when other people come to flag their flag in your country while destroying your own flag, it means that you are conquered. Everyone who knows the act of war knows that. When you win a place, you raise your flag. So when you win a place, you raise your flag, lower their own flag. But they go as far as burning it, spitting on it, peeing on it, and then raise their own flag. And you still have the audacity. I don't even belong to your country, but I can see through the nonsense.
Want our streets militarized by our own armed forces, not in LA, not in California, not anywhere. We're seeing unmarked cars in school parking lots, kids afraid of attending their own graduation. Trump is pulling a military dragnet all across Los Angeles, well beyond his stated intent to just go after violent and serious criminals. His agents are arresting dishwashers, gardeners, day laborers, and seamstresses. That's just weakness masquerading as strength. Donald Trump's government is...
By the way, that is what CNN chose as the title of this video. Description title, weakness masquerading as strength. But they don't ask themselves, how did this massive number of people come into a country? Or as they are showing this foot to foot, leg to leg, pole to pole, none of them had the decency to show when the military who were guarding the border were pushed down by illegal immigrants. This, you ask yourself, do they want their country to fail? That they will show when the invader is being taken out, but never did anything to show when the invasion was happening. It's a marvel to me. I don't know about you.
Protecting our communities, they're traumatizing our communities. And that seems to be the entire point.
And look at how a governor is talking about our community. It's our state. He had this buzz language injected into the discussion. Our state. Because when you say our state, you talk about every single human being, both those who belong to your community and those who don't belong to your community. But he wouldn't use it because he knows exactly who this news is targeted to. As a matter of fact, CNN is not the best place to make this broadcast because their rating, their viewership is to the toilet. If they are obviously honest about this and they want to reach as many people as possible, it will be the highest rated news outlet in the country, which is Fox News. But he can't go there because he'll be asked some questions he can't answer. Or he will have to spin and everyone will see the nakedness of his spin, unfortunately.
California will keep fighting. We'll keep fighting on behalf of our people, all of our people, including in the courts. Just yesterday, we filed a legal challenge to Donald Trump's reckless deployment of American troops to a major American city. Today, we sought an emergency court order to stop the use of the American military to engage in law enforcement activities across Los Angeles. If some of us could be snatched off the streets without a warrant, based only on suspicion or skin color, then none of us are safe. Authoritarian regimes begin by targeting people who are least able to defend themselves. But they do not stop there. Trump and his loyalists, they thrive on division because it allows them to take more power and exert even more control. And by the way, Trump, he's not opposed to lawlessness and violence as long as it serves him. What more evidence do we need than January 6th? Ask everyone. Take time, reflect on this perilous moment. A president who wants to be bound by no law or constitution, perpetuating a unified assault on American traditions. This is a president who in just over 140 days has fired government watchdogs that could hold him accountable for corruption and fraud. He's declared a war on culture, on history, on science, on knowledge itself. Databases, quite literally, are vanishing.
He claimed that Trump declared a war on culture. Which culture? The culture that allowed men to play in women's sports. Which history? The history that his own side had torn down bit by bit by subverting every single thing, including the 200 years precedence of never prosecuting an ex-president. Which culture? Which history? Which tradition? Which one is he talking about in particular? So when these people lie, and unfortunately, this lie is precipitating throughout the whole world because somehow people come to believe them. But unfortunately for them too, the tide is turning. The people are taking back what belongs to them. You have to be in a country the right way, and you have to love the country as a matter of fact. That is the barest minimum. You have to love the country because they didn't come and jack you up from your own country. You came willingly. And when they opened their hands because they believe that you love them. But when you come to a country and you're waving your own country flag, burning their own flag, then if you ask me whether First Amendment or 100th Amendment, you don't deserve to be in that country. You have to show loyalty, love for the country that hosts you. You are working sure, but they give you the working environment.
He's delegitimizing news organizations, and he's assaulting the First Amendment.
Nobody's delegitimizing news organizations. They are delegitimizing themselves. Start from Joe Biden was sharp as attack. He's a media. Hunter Biden is almost a saint. He's a media. Hunter Biden is a powerful artist. The media. Every single thing that has gone wrong the past 20 years in any country, check the hand of the media. If they have been truthful, things wouldn't get this bad. The media were on top of the world when the January 6th happened. They were clapping, applauding the judges that were putting people in jail whose fault was just going through the house. Nobody was supporting any violent activity that day. But they managed to lay the policeman who shot dead an armed woman to get him off the hook. But then people who were just sitting on top of a seat were prosecuted and thrown to jail. Enrique, who wasn't even at the place, was captured and charged for insurrection even when he was not present at the place. Who facilitated it? The media. Who covered up that almost 12 million people came into the country? The media. Because if they were showing it every day the way they are showing the removal, the people would have risen up earlier. The media institution discredited themselves. They delegitimized themselves, not Trump. Trump just saw through it.
And the threat of defunding them, at threat, he's dictating what universities themselves can teach. He's targeting law firms and the judicial branch that are the foundations of an orderly and civil society. He's calling for a sitting governor to be arrested for no other reason than to, in his own words.
No, he didn't call for a sitting governor to be arrested. And no matter how you spin it, anyone who listened to that discussion knows what his answer was. It was a discussion between Homan and Newsom. And Homan was saying, if they cross the line, and the media asks a bundled question, what crime? When the crime is already in this comment of Homan, if he crosses the line, and when you ask what crime, Trump said, well, his crime is just being elected because he has run down, destroyed the city, the state, as Biden destroyed the country. You can see a kind of joke, sarcasm in it. But then, just as they were able to make up the host of verifying people, just as they did that, this is not difficult. The host of bloodbath. So it wouldn't be difficult for him. And then I'll be a dictator by day one. That is it. If he's part of this, nobody will tell you to arrest you.
For getting elected. And we all know this Saturday, he's ordering our American heroes, the United States military, and forcing them to put on a vulgar display to celebrate his birthday, just as other failed dictators have done.
And that is also another lie. The Trump birthday is just a coincidence. They were celebrating 250 years of the U.S. Army, not Trump's birthday. They were also celebrating the Flag Day. And the governor, just a foreigner, the governor should know that. The fact that he put that in this comment means that every single thing he's saying is not up to the truth. All of them are either half-truth or outright lie. And he knows it. But the point that he could say them with straight face, he deserves an award.
In the past. Look, this isn't just about protests here in Los Angeles. When Donald Trump sought blanket authority to commandeer the National Guard, he made that order apply to every state in this nation. This is about all of us. This is about you. California may be first, but it clearly will not end here. Other states are next. Democracy is next.
It will actually end in California because I don't think any other state will wait for them to be run over before they do what they're supposed to do, which is protect life and property of their citizens. I think that is why it will be only there. And those who are inspired by you to go and riot, because that is what Democrats do. Well, that's what the left do. They riot. When they don't get things their way, they riot. It will happen only there. That is where the city will be burnt down. And wherever it starts, you will see how fast they will clamp down on them to shut them up. You can protest, not riot. That is the way it is. Protest, make your voice known, write what you want to say, shout it. But burning people's things down is not part of any rule at all. And no civilized society can survive with that when it happens repeatedly. Not even you, Newsom, can deny that.
Before our eyes, this moment we have feared has arrived. He's taking a wrecking ball to our founding fathers' historic project. 3 co-equal branches of independent government. There are no longer any checks and balances. Congress is nowhere to be found. Speaker Johnson has completely abdicated that responsibility. The rule of law has increasingly been given way to the rule of Don. The founding.
And he knows that that is also a lie. Despite all their attack, despite all their EOs, executive orders, Trump has never disregarded any rule that was handed down. Unlike Biden, who, after he was told not to go on with paying the student loan, he still found a way to pay it as against the judgment of the Supreme Court. And they didn't say a word. Democracy. Democracy, my foot.
Fathers, they didn't live and die to see this kind of moment. It's time for all of us to stand up. Justice Brandeis, he said it best. In a democracy, the most important office, with all due respect, Mr. President, is not the presidency, and it's certainly not governor. The most important office is office of citizen. At this moment, we all need to stand up and be held to account, a higher level of accountability. If you exercise your First Amendment rights, please, please do it peacefully. I know many of you are feeling deep anxiety, stress, and fear, but I want you to know that you are the antidote to that fear and that anxiety. What Donald Trump wants most is your...
So I think we have had enough. The point is, all of this would have made simple if they would simply give ICE the list of those who are under conviction in this state. Show them the days they were turning up to the court, or get them to remove them before they have the chance, whichever way. When they are indicted and they are on trial, you wait for them. When their judgment is over, they are taken up. If you do that, there will be no picking on anyone randomly without notifying the state officials. In some cases, when they notify the state officials are helped to abet the possibility of catching them, including the judge from Wisconsin that opened the chamber to let out somebody who committed a crime, not just the crime of coming in to the country, but a crime of assault. So you can't trust these people. They see you as evil people with evil intention. You see them as good people with bad ideas. They see you as bad people with bad ideas. They will eliminate you if they have the opportunity. That is why they don't make the room for you to join them. They want to run you over because for them, you are as worse as Hitler. And you are both irredeemable and no need to be given a second chance. So LA is still burning. Even though Mayor Barnes was forced to declare a curfew. I don't know how far that can go if there's no enforcement, because they are allergic to enforcing the law. And that is one useless thing that is wrong about the left, wherever they are. They are good at destroying the system, and they are bad at enforcing the law because they don't want to indict themselves. They don't want people to see that they failed. So if you got any value from this video, don't fail to like, share, and write your comment. Criticize me harshly if you want, if you think that I'm talking nonsense. But as a matter of fact, you have your opinion, and I have mine. Ciao.